Welcome to the 2016 Wisconsin Masonry Alliance Excellence in Masonry Awards. We will recognize this year's 5 winners in the following categories: Special Project, Concrete Masonry, Clay Masonry, Stone Masonry, and of course, our Best in Show winner. All designs were judged on overall design creativity, inspiring details, features or solutional elements, and the masonry's relationship with the overall structure. The judging panel this year included John Norman from Norman Architects, Jerry Mortier from the Redmond Company, and Gary Porter from the Masonry Advisory Council. We begin with our merit winners for this year. Merit recognition for concrete goes to the Harry Hughes Electronite Project. The architect and general contractor was MSI General Corporation. The mason contractor was Marriott Construction. The WMA producer and supplier was County Materials Corporation. Merit recognition for clay goes to the Prairie Cafe Building Project. The architect was Destree Design Architects Incorporated. The general contractor was Krupp Construction. The mason contractor was Greiber Masonry. The WMA producer and supplier was County Materials Corporation. Our first Best of category is Special Project. The award this year goes to Bray Architects for the Bantable project in Appleton, Wisconsin. The general contractor was Rettler Corporation. The mason contractor was Bolt Construction. The WMA producer and supplier was Northfield Block.
We were actually brought on board in partnership with another firm, Rettler and Associates, who was a civil engineer, landscape architect. We went in with them in a team hired by Lawrence University, and their main objective was to renovate the Bantable. They wanted to add some facilities, team locker room, concession stand, and then the necessary toilets to accommodate the 4,000 spectators. So we looked at the Insultech product, and it offered a lot of design choices in terms of materials and colors. It's essentially an 8 or 12 inch block with a 2 to 3 inch insulation sandwich, and then a 2 inch face block. You know, in the old days, we used to use just a single white wall, fill the cores with insulation, and that was good enough. Well, here was a way to get that economy of a single white wall, but get a super insulated and really energy efficient product.
Bantable, we thought, had a good use of environmental materials from the translucent panels at the top. The shade that ran around the front provides some solar shading. Overall, it was a nice solution using concrete products for energy efficiency.
Part of the vision was to tie this into the Alexander Gym, which sits up the hill. They're not really connected at all.
They took the block, the insulated block, and used it in a manner that made that building look like it necessarily was there for a long time. It blends in, it's a natural component.
We didn't want this to be a classical building. We wanted it to be more contemporary. So, and we also sort of set it into a hill and into the woods, and so there was an element of wood that we created on one side, which was just to kind of warm things up and create just a bit of a different look, a different diversion from the rest of the campus.
Congratulations to Bray Architects. Our next winner is for the Natural Stone Residential category. The award this year goes to Demas Home Design, LLC, for the Arbor Ridge project in Janesville, Wisconsin. The general contractor was Bogner Construction. The mason contractor was M.J. Lavery and Sons Masonry. The WMA producer and supplier was Natural Stone Veneers International.
The Arbor Ridge project was one of the first ones out there to utilize natural stone. The area is a very natural area. They had a love for urban, rustic type design, and they wanted to bring more natural products into the mix. This isn't a common stone for Wisconsin. They really liked the settings in Colorado. The owners went to different quarries to look for the stone.
The stone that the architect chose, natural stone, was a good choice in this case. It complements the colors used on the house. I enjoyed the detail that he had going up over the entry door. There was a fireplace, I believe, on the inside as well that was done very nicely. And it was a good thin veneer project.
The site was real challenging. It slopes off quite a bit. We did a lot of stonework as far as the columns and the supporting decks, and they had an entertaining area with a large barbecue fireplace in the back. So we kind of used the stone to highlight each elevation of the house as it went around. The beauty about the products we picked on the Arbor Ridge project is they're long-lasting. We're getting back to building houses that last.
Janesville residents used natural stone that was, in a way that was very cohesive, inside to out, proper proportions and balance. And the natural stone wasn't a dominating feature of that building, but it was very complementary.
Working on a project like Arbor Ridge is a good challenge for designers like ourselves. We get into the everyday track building mode, and when we get a client that's willing to spend extra money and effort in picking out products such as natural stone, natural siding and stuff, it's actually a joy to work with, and I've had a lot of creativity in working with this type of project, and they allowed that, and it's fun to work on projects like that.
Congratulations to Demas Home Design, LLC. Our next winner is for the Natural Stone Commercial category. The award this year goes to Perspective Design for the Plaza at Prairie Ridge project in Pleasant Prairie, Wisconsin. The general contractor was KVG Building Corporation. The mason contractor was Landmark Masonry. The WMA producer and supplier was Natural Stone Veneers International.
The precedent was kind of set at this development. It's called the Plaza at Prairie Ridge. There's several big box retailers in the back. The stone veneer on the exterior of this building very much fit in with the expectations that the community had, as well as the precedent that had been set by other retailers in the area. Masonry materials that are on the project are primarily heritage brick, as well as Shady Canyon natural stone. Bringing the project together was trying to find a good combination of those materials where we could provide some interest in the building and have those materials come together.
The Plaza at Prairie Ridge was interesting in the fact that there were a number of different types of stone material that were used, all natural stone. And it was used in an appropriate manner, created a nice warm and inviting commercial environment.
There are some environmental areas that are surrounding this building. I think the earth tones that we used in the building, as well as the stone and masonry materials, very much ties it to the site as well. Obviously, the things that we like about using masonry materials is the longevity. The material goes in, it looks great the day it gets installed, and 25 years later it still looks great.
Plaza at Prairie Ridge just looks to be a good use of the veneer product, the thin veneer product. It accents the colors that are used in that building. Look like they go very well with the stone that the architect chose.
The material is obviously extremely strong, it's extremely durable. It also, I think, connects the buildings to the sites as well. It kind of anchors the building to the landscape. We spent a lot of time and effort trying to come up with a very nice project. I think it has improved the area in Pleasant Prairie, and we had a great time working on the project, and hopefully everybody's enjoyed what we've produced.
Congratulations to Perspective Design. Then we shift to the concrete masonry category. The award this year goes to Kenothi and Bruce Architects for the City View project in Madison, Wisconsin. The general contractor was Stevens Construction. The mason contractor was Rural Masonry. The WMA producers and suppliers were Northfield Block and United Brick and Fireplace.
We were approached by a developer to develop a high-density housing project on a very small site's about 4,800 square feet. And the idea was to try to do something that would maximize the number of apartment units on this site, but also have a nice architectural feel that would fit into its neighborhood. We decided to use the concrete product here because we wanted to have something solid at the base of this building, but we also wanted to have the texture along the base so that as a pedestrian you could experience the coursing of that masonry unit.
So City View stood out because of the timeless design. It seemed to have a nice, beautiful character that it was hard to distinguish if it was built yesterday or 10 years ago. Characteristics of the details of the horizontal bands throughout it, nice rhythm at the base.
There are some challenges with the concrete product. It can come off as cold, but if you are able to vary the textures of it, work with the coursing patterns of it, vary the sizes of the masonry units, we think that that challenge can actually become a benefit to the design.
It has a very human scale, larger than human scale base, but also juxtaposed with those smaller brick. But the use of the materials, the banding that goes around it, the positioning and playfulness of the various textures, you've got the smooth, larger pieces, just helps to make the whole thing come together and be inviting.
The mix of materials was used so that we could bridge the gap between the scales of the buildings there. We're most proud of being able to put a very tall, slender building on this small site and yet create a nice streetscape texture to it.
Congratulations to Kenothi and Bruce Architects. Lastly, we would like to announce the Clay Masonry as well as our 2016 Best in Show winner. The award this year goes to Kenothi and Bruce Architects for the waterfront project in Madison, Wisconsin. The general contractor was Stevens Construction. The mason contractor was Rural Masonry. The WMA producers and suppliers were Northfield Block and United Brick and Fireplace.
So the Waterfront Madison project started back in 2008. It was a complicated project because it sits within the Langdon Street Historic District. There was quite a bit of input that was required between neighbors and city officials in terms of the design of the property. It's a heavily sloping site. It's tight and bounded on three sides by right-of-ways. The scale of the buildings around it were substantially smaller. And so the challenge for us was to create a new building in this setting that felt like it fit into the neighborhood.
That building appears to have been there for a long time, but it's a brand new building. The detailing is wonderful. The juxtaposition of smaller brick and the larger cast units just gave it a really good play and nice balance.
We decided to use the clay masonry because of its surroundings. It was a natural choice for us. So we chose three different clay masonry units, different textures and colors, but all of which we felt could have been used in its historic context.
The waterfront in Madison was probably, just because of the size of the project, it stood out to all the judges. The use of clay, the amount of detail that's in that building, those are things that appealed to us as judges.
Some of the best feedback that we got from this project was from city officials and from the neighborhoods that had been pushing against this project. When they saw the built product, they were quite pleased. Everybody's been very supportive of how it has fit into the neighborhood and how it's actually been a benefit and a good addition to the neighborhood.
Congratulations to Kanothi and Bruce Architects. We would like to give special thanks to this year's strategic partners: County Materials Corporation, Hallquist Stone, Northfield Block, and Spec Mix. And of course, a great thank you to those that submitted projects into this year's award. And thank you for attending the 2016 Wisconsin Masonry Alliance Excellence in Masonry Awards. We look forward to next year's awards and encourage all of you to continue combining creativity, form, and function while striving for excellence in masonry.